Good morning.
Here we go. We're live. Hey, y'all. How's it doing? Happy Saturday. How's it going? How's it doing? Happy Saturday. Come on in. Come on in, guys. We have Rosalyn here. She's come on before some time ago. She's going to introduce herself shortly. We'll let you guys join in and we'll get started momentarily. Let me put the question up, guys. We're talking board member management, team management today, guys. And the question is, drop a tip that has helped engage your board or team. If something has been game-changing for you guys, go ahead and drop a tip. Let us know what has been beneficial for you in when it comes to board member management or when it comes to team management, guys. We are all managing teams with our family, with our household, in our business, even in our friends. Those are all types of teams, whether it be personal or whether it be for business. So that's all kind of relationship things that you're able to bring from one space to another. So drop a tip, guys, and we'll get started soon. And say hi as you're coming in as well, guys. What's helped you engage your board or team? If you don't have a nonprofit or business yet, what's helped you when it comes to relationships, period? Building relationships. What's helped you engage more with your children, with your spouse? What are some tips that you would give? These are all relationships again, so they can all be transferred. All right. Cheers. You have a drink over there? What do you have today?
I just got some bai.
I like that. I drink that sometimes. Yeah.
I love bai. It's my favorite.
I got my same passion tea I've been having.
I love it.
You like that one? You drink that one?
I drink green tea for breakfast.
Oh, really?
And a muffin.
Okay, you're a tea. You love tea too. Yes. Tea and coffee. I'll drink coffee too. So
yeah.
All right. Well, we will go ahead and jump right in. Before we get started, can you introduce yourself to the nonprofit fam? Rosalyn is a nonprofit. I know it's some business and some nonprofits that follow us, guys. But Rosalyn happens to be a nonprofit. Tell us a little bit about your nonprofit, what you guys do.
Good morning, guys. I'm Rosalyn Moore. I'm the founder and president of Rosalyn Cares Foundation. We're a 501c3. Our nonprofit has 3 programs. We have a health awareness program. We have a mentorship program for girls, and we're implementing a education program in the spring. So we're really excited about that.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
And Rosalyn Cares, we're geared towards the disadvantaged and the at-risk populations for South Carolina and North Carolina.
Oh, okay, great. Now, how long have you guys been up and going?
We've been up and going for the past 2.5 years now.
That is great. You're still considered a baby a little bit.
Yep. Baby.
Awesome. Has your board changed since you has your board changed at all since you started, or do you have the same board from the beginning?
Well, yeah, my board has changed. Just one person. During the first stages, it's all about knowing and growing.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what I did, and now I feel like I got a really good stabilized board.
That's awesome. That's a good feeling to have, because board member challenges is a constant when it comes to nonprofits. There are a lot of nonprofits have a hard time engaging and connecting with your board. So let's go ahead and dive into the tips. I'm going to be sharing some tips. Rosalyn's going to be sharing some tips. What do you think are some of the things that you've done with your board? Our first question I would ask you is how did it affect your board when you had that change? I know board members change, or boards change all the time. It's one of the most common changes with nonprofits for several reasons. Sometimes, people just are busy, maybe a little bit stretched too thin, or they just can't handle some additional responsibilities. But how does that affect the organization in general when the board has to change or adjust?
When the board has to change and adjust, it does affect the organization. Mm-hmm. But I've been pulling all the strings at the beginning. So it put a lot of weight on me. So I had to hurry up and make the changes and get the training done so we can implement this, so we can continually to grow and give services out to the community.
Absolutely. Was that a hard decision to make?
Yes, very hard because there's a lot of people out there that doesn't have the same passion as you do. So it's hard to get an individual that has a good fit for your organization.
Absolutely. I guess that would be our first question where we would dive in is selecting your board member to begin.
Yes.
What tips would you give in hindsight after selecting your board and things like that? What tips would you give if people are still looking for their board members and they're not sure, who they want to have on their board or how to even find or attract effective board members?
I would say again, the first tip would be make sure that they are passionate about your mission and your vision. That's so important.
You know what? It's hilarious. That was my first tip I have too. That was the same tip right there. Like that right there. If you are passionate about it, if it's a group passion and you all are excited about it, like make sure you understand what is the why for them. Sometimes I've heard it happen all the time. A lot of times we do start our boards, and because we can't find anyone, we may just throw family on our boards or someone and family may be good, family and friends, if they are passionate, but just make sure you understand why you chose to have them on the board and, and how they connect. Do they have a life story that connects with some of the things that you guys are going to be doing? Do they just happen to be passionate about the community as well? You want someone who reflects your passion. I absolutely agree. I'll add a bonus tip to that.
Okay.
And I'll say, check your own passion as well. Because your board is going to be a reflection of you. So Absolutely. If you're not promoting and excited about how you're helping in the community, how passionate are you? Why are you doing this? And so once you check in there, now say, okay, how do I attract some other individuals who are just as passionate as me, and we can do this together instead of me just doing it by myself?
Absolutely. If they see you put in a lot of work, they're going to do just as much as you, because I send out emails all the time. I let them know what I'm doing. I'm like, hey, you want to join in with this? They love it.
Absolutely. And you're creating that engaging atmosphere.
Right.
So that's another good point as well, is that it's starting from the leadership. Now, what's that old saying? The fruit don't fall too far from the tree. Is that the right one? I'm known in my family for saying the wrong sayings at the wrong time, but I think that was the right one. The fruit don't fall too far from the tree. So really check your excitement, your engagement, how much, like you said, how engaging are you? How much are you asking them to join different things? How much are you talking about the organization? I'm really big on example. Honestly, I learn better that way. Like I could take a course on something, and that's something that's been a gift of mine, of being able to take a course and just learn it, whatever it may be. However, if I see somebody doing something, that takes my knowledge up 10 times. Like, oh, that's what she's saying, show up. Oh, that's what she means. She means show up like this. Oh, she means, can you come on camera when we're having a board meeting? Like she comes on camera every single time. You know what I mean? You can't request anything that you're not willing to first give. And it's easier to request if you show up in the way that you want other people to show up as well. Because now they can just duplicate. Like, oh, I see her talking about the organization. This is how she advocates for the organization. So let me advocate that same way. So that's awesome having that. And then another piggyback on that passion is that it makes it fun. You guys are all passionate about the same thing. And as opposed to this, you're getting together as a board and it's work. It's a labor of love because you're all passionate about it. You're all excited about it. And so I think that's probably the best tip, is that number one tip right there.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. What is your second tip for that's really helped you when it comes to the board?
The second tip is make sure that they correlate with your programs that you have. When I say correlate, make sure they have an interest in the programs that you're implementing in your foundation. And I tag everybody to an interest, because my treasurer for the board, she went through teen pregnancy. She likes to help young girls. So I linked her to the girls mentorship group. My other board member, she is a nurse practitioner. She likes healthcare. She likes education. So I linked her to the health promotions group. And my other board member, she's a school teacher. And I got another board member as a guidance counselor. I linked them to the educational program. So link for their interests, so it could be better. That works.
Absolutely. And they can show up more because this is something that they've done in some type of way, whether it be their life and their life story, or whether it be through what they actually do as far as their career or whatnot. I love that concept. That's a good tip. So thinking about, I know one of my other nonprofits did this, and I thought they did it amazingly. They had someone on their board who was in the radio so that they can promote. So whenever they always had that link to promote, whenever they were doing events, they happen to have some what is it called, shirts and things like that, fashion that went along with their nonprofit, and they had a designer. That's a good designer who was on there. So having someone making sure you understand how they fit and how they can take what they're already doing and just make this an extension of that. I absolutely love that. That kind of ties in with that passion part, and with that why. Why are they here on the board, and how can they really show up to their maximum capacity, so to speak? And if they're doing something they already have done or are currently doing, that's definitely an easy way to show up. Absolutely. We have a tip that came in here. Let's see what tips we have. This is from my hubby. Use everyone's true strengths and passions to the fullest. I love that tip. Yes, I think he's just kind of piggybacking what you're saying there. Allow it to be a space where they can show up as themselves.
Right.
And really just do their thing, so to speak, but for this particular mission, for this particular area of the community. That leads into my second tip, which my second tip is to make sure that they have a clear understanding. That kind of links with what you just said as well, that they have a clear understanding of what it looks like and what you mean when you say you want an engaged board. You know, what are their tasks? What are their duties? What are they responsible for? How do you want, what is the culture as far as how you want them to talk about the organization when they're talking to other people? Because one of the things that I really learned when it comes to board members, that a lot of boards use the term ambassadors. You want them to be ambassadors for the mission. So if someone's talking about something nonprofit related, or talking about who's doing what in the community, you want them to be ready to share the nonprofit's vision. So they need to have a clear idea of what that is.
Right.
And then they have to have clear set ideas of what their active role will be and how they can help and serve you best. So I think that would be definitely the second one for me, having that clarity. Do you think that when you first started, your board understood what they were supposed to be doing?
Absolutely not. And I was going to pick up on what you just said, because I was figuring things out for myself. When I reached out to you and I was like, Tracy, I need your help. And you did that board training and everybody got a clear vision. It was like, oh my gosh, explain it so detailed. I was like, okay. So you did a really good job.
Thank you. Thank you. That's just filling you guys in on that. We did a board, and we definitely do that. If any of you all need that to kind of get that cohesion, sometimes an outside person coming in can be beneficial, especially if your board members happen to be like friends and family and things like that, which a lot of times they are, and that's okay. I definitely believe everybody in my close family works for our organization or in our organization in some type of way. But so I definitely believe in that. But it's always good to also have outside people or have someone from the outside come in, because it makes the atmosphere just a little bit different. It allows you to kind of work out your kinks and someone else to view from the outside looking in and give you some tips. So that's what we did. We had a board meeting, one of the board meetings together, kind of a mini board meeting training. And that kind of took a turn, and you guys decided some different things you're going to add to the board. I know one of the things many boards implement, and that kind of gets into my third tip. Many boards implement that there's not most of them. Some of them have a minimum amount, and some of them just say you need to donate in some type of way to the organization. But having that financial donation also tie to the time donation and everything that you're putting into the organization. How important do you think that was for the organization when you started having the members donate as well?
Oh, that was very important, because you can't run without funding.
Right. Right.
And then you said that when we had that training with you, that's when we decided to add on a funding and plan development coordinator to the foundation, and it worked out really good. So she plans a lot of fundings in for us, so we can keep funding. Yeah.
Growing your team. It's all about not trying to do everything yourself, guys. That's what I hear you
Oh,
doing.
you're overwhelmed.
You're looking for, you know what, who does this with this well, working smarter, not harder.
Absolutely.
Which is amazing. That is good. Definitely, definitely. So when you transitioned over to, I think another thing, because just kind of piggybacking on that financial aspect, is kind of like you want your board to have a bit of skin in the game, and you also, your board is going to be advocating and engaging and linking with other individuals that may donate to the organization. And it's hard to really advocate properly if you're not also donating to the organization.
Absolutely.
You know, most individuals donate to something. They donate to their church. They donate to several nonprofits. So most individuals have that portion set aside. Is really just getting some of that funneled towards your organization. Of course, as a board member, you want this organization that you serve on the board of to be one of your top 3 organizations, which is why I personally never serve on more than 3 nonprofit boards at a time. Because I want to make sure that and that's another thing. Can we talk a little bit about that as far as looking at how much time they have to allocate to the project to begin? Is that a conversation you have with your board, members before they joined?
Absolutely. That's actually my third tip.
That's crazy. It could just flow
right. Collaborated together. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
my third tip was time management. How much time did you have to give to the foundation? And I gave my board members at least 5 hours a week.
Okay.
And you know, that's the minimum, 5 hours a week. And we do timesheets just to keep everything in track. They meet with me besides another day in a month, besides the board meetings, so they can talk about their programs, and then we talk about it on the board meetings. And I also talk about board dues, and I have increased them, and I let them know why, and they was okay with it. So I always tell them why, because you know we can't run without funding. And
then that makes them a little bit more excited as well about pursuing other funding and talking to individuals and potential donors a little bit more. You know, one way to engage your board as well is to have them start creating lists and thinking about individuals in their personal circle that may be able to donate to the organization. And I think the great thing about you starting the dues and starting the membership payments, things like that for your board, is that it makes it part of their makeup as well to get funding in. So again, now it's like, okay, this is also our responsibility. We can't run without funding. We're also carrying some of this funding. And now I really want to make sure, I'm really excited about getting other funding as well, because that'll make it easier for us to operate and for us to run as well. So I think that's awesome.
And I did explain that to them, because I got that from you, Tracy. You taught me they can get fundings from their circle of friends and bring in the donations like that too. And I didn't know that. So I told them, it was like, oh, okay. So that works.
Absolutely. Yeah. And making everything clear. I love that system. I just want to back up to that again, how she was saying 5 hours per week is the commitment that you ask for your board members. So I love numbers. The great thing about that number is you can break it down. You can say, you know what, I'm going to spend an hour per day, Monday through Friday, when I get off or in the morning or whatnot, doing some things towards organization. Or in some individuals' case, they may just choose to spend half of their Saturday and just Saturday focused on their board management duties and things like that. I love that tracking concept. And I was just right before this, I heard someone else mention something about just the accountability concept. And a lot of times, you know, people run from it because it's like they don't want them to think that they're, you know, making sure they do this, or it's like a, you know, kind of watching over them type thing. Tracking for anybody, even as a personal individual, you tracking for yourself, whether that be steps, as I'm tracking right now, or whether that be your food intake, your board activity, your time, and what you're doing with your time. Tracking is important, you know, and it helps everyone to understand, okay, and it does hold them accountable to making sure that they show up as well. So
absolutely. Grant funding, they want to know.
They want to know. Yeah, exactly. They want to know how many hours they also ask another good question. That's great that you brought that up. They also will ask, does your board member, what percentage of your board donates to the organization?
Absolutely.
And that means something for them. Like, oh, okay. They got 4 or 5 people on their board and 20% donate, you know, and y'all want me to donate though. Okay.
Right. They don't want something that you're not. So
absolutely. All good tips. Let me see here. Gayla left a tip as well, said, do an assessment periodically or ask board members to fill out a self-assessment. Wonderful. Even for us guys, we had someone come in, we had Reggie come in. He's actually going to be coming on in March, right, Gayla? March 20th, I believe. No, not March 20th. He'll be March 27th. Yep, he'll be coming on in March again. He does disc assessment or behavior. I'm sorry, behavior. I forgot the wording I'm supposed to be using for. I'm so sorry, Reggie. But basically, what it is it's an opportunity to assess yourself and how you operate best when it comes to the relationships in your life and your leadership style, and also to assess your team. So assessing is important, definitely. Behavioral strengths. Thank you. It shows it's an assessment on your behavioral strengths, to see what strengths or personality traits will add more to the organization. So being okay with assessing yourself, guys, being okay with having someone else come in and assess how things are working. Assessment is the first key to development and growth. If you don't know and you don't know where you are, how are you going to grow from there?
Exactly.
So I think that's definitely a good tip.
That's a good tip.
And how many board members are ideal for a newly formed organization? Thank you for that question, hon. That's a common question that we get all the time. The minimum, how many individuals are on your board?
I have 4, and that's including me.
Okay, gotcha. The minimum board members, guys, is 3. For most states, the minimum is going to be 3. When it says when you say ideal, I think that it depends on the type of the organization and what you're doing. You guys have a lot of programs you're running, and it sounds like you've done something smart, which is you have a board member kind of that's heading off and leading each of the programs that you're running. So if you have multiple things to do, a larger board would be great, because you'll have more time that's coming into your organization. You may have more funding that's coming into your organization because you have those dues and things like that. You may have more people engaging and talking about the organization. However, the larger your board is, the more people you have to manage as well. So that's kind of the downside of a large board. And sometimes people feel like, oh, okay, it's 20 people on this board. What's my, contribution of ideas or this or that going to help? Sometimes you get that, you start to have that feeling when it's a larger board. So I would say definitely starting with a smaller board. Of course, the cons of a smaller board is there's less people to do the different tasks. So sometimes you risk burnout, because there's a lot of people running a lot of different things. So I would say it's different depending upon the type of organization that you have. And Gayla said, this is a good question because this is also unique to the organization. How often should a board or team meet? So for you guys specifically, you meet once a month, but then you
meet another time for the program.
I'm sorry?
We meet once a month for board member meeting and then once a month for program meeting.
Okay, once a month for for board members meeting and then once a month for program meeting. So the program meetings, are they individual or are they with the entire board as well?
They are like individual. They're like the board, and then I got the board member to recruit their volunteers.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So they're recruiting volunteers to help them with their programs.
Right.
That's awesome. I love that leadership style. That's what I'm talking about right there. But yes, guys, it's different depending upon the organization, how often you're going to meet. I have a couple of boards where they meet every other month because of it also depends on, your board members. Typically, you're the ones that the president or the founder is the one that decides the initial board. So you know how much time they have on their hands. If you have a board that's mostly going to be part-time, meeting I would say at maximum twice a month is probably going to be the maximum that they can commit to. I think that basically you all have that twice a month, but different styles of meeting. If they're also having another full-time job obligation and things like that, keep that in mind. Now if you have a lot of volunteers or a lot of board members who may be retired, or maybe they're not working a full-time job as well, you all may be able to meet more often. Another thing that I've noticed, which is why those committees and those programs and things like that is important, is if you're working on a program or something's coming up, of course, you may have more meetings about that specific program than usual during your nonprofit's year. So it kind of depends on the nonprofit, but I would say twice a month is probably about average for starter nonprofits.
Okay. That was a good question, though, because I didn't know when I first started.
He was like, when we supposed to meet and how often? Now, guys, just so you know, the very bare minimum, if it's just a nonprofit, I have nonprofits that just operate around certain holidays. I have one specifically that they just do something at Christmas. Though they're not going to meet twice a month or every other. They have a very niche down, small nonprofit activity. In those cases, typically the bare minimum is quarterly. So at least 4 times a year, your nonprofit should be meeting. Okay. Did we cover all your tips? Did we get them all in here? I'm going to try to see if I could do a rundown. Test my memory real quick. But the first one was that passion. And that's funny. It was on both of our lists. The first one was passion, making sure that they're passionate and that they reflect your passion. So making sure you guys both have a positive, strong why, or all of you all have a positive, strong why, and that's what drives you. So that was the first one. What was the second one? I want to make sure they have
a interest in programs.
Interest in programs, making sure it lines up with their interests and programs, actually assigning someone who has either past development or a past story, like we did with some of the individuals with teen pregnancy and things like that, or if they work in a field that's going to be beneficial to that program. But linking their program with their interests. So this is something that's an extension of their passion and purpose as well.
Right.
So absolutely. And then we talked about clarity of what they're supposed to be doing, gaining that clarity. If you don't know now, there's several things online, several YouTube videos, links and things like that. We'll add some here. So we'll also add those links that kind of tell you what each board member role is supposed to be, is what the details are underneath each board member role, and also what's supposed to be going on in the board member meetings. So having that clarity of what they're supposed to do and make sure they understand what they're supposed to be doing is huge. And what was our final one? Let's see. That was one more.
Time management and funding.
Time management and funding. Oh, yes. Just how you were able to set up those systems and the accountability. That's what we were talking about. Setting up those systems and those accountability for tasks. So again, that's kind of a piggybacking of that clarity, making sure that they understand how much time they're supposed to be putting into the organization. And there's also a way that you're able to hold them accountable for that. And funding, making sure they're actually providing some of the funding. They're actually donating as well, so that they're all in, so to speak. Absolutely. Very good. I think we answered all the questions, and those were awesome, good tips. So we really appreciate you coming on and talking about board member management. If you guys specifically have some questions for Rosalyn, or if you want to link in with her organization and see what they're doing, maybe you're looking for another organization to volunteer with or to just donate to, or you just want to find out more information, we're going to put her website and her social media up under here as well, so you can find out more. Thank you so much, Rosalyn, for coming on. No problem, guys. Just a little news update. We're coming out of February, the shortest month of the year, and we are marching into abundance in March. That's our theme for March, is marching into abundance. January and February, we were all on mindset. Now we're niching down to that specific portion of the mindset that sometimes blocks us spiritually from really tying into our full abundance, so that we're not worried about the funding aspect. We can just impact. And so that's what we're going to be going into with all of the different interviews in March. We're going to be talking more on abundance. I'll be on Mindset Monday, this coming Monday on the 1st. Nice. I'll be popping into Facebook in our group. If you guys aren't a part, you can find that information on our website. And I'll be popping in, giving mindset tips specifically related to abundance. This is an area that if anyone was to unlock, nonprofits unlocking it, to me, would be the most impact. Because we're automatically passionate about an area that we want to serve. We're automatically about helping each other. So if we unlock that abundance as well with it, then there's nothing stopping us from really affecting our community. So I'm excited about that, guys. That's this coming month, March. We're going to be putting out our new calendar this Monday as well. I hope you guys are planning your March, really taking some time to be intentional about how you're spending your time, intentional about what you're putting into your nonprofit, the time you're putting in, the programs, the planning, the marketing, things like that. Taking these last couple of days of February to plan that out for March, guys. And I will see you all next Saturday. Our very first person coming on for March Can we do you have that person available? Yes. So you all know.
Have
drum roll.
Michelle Pila.
Yes, Michelle Pila from Wholesome Riches. I think we were just talking about them in our last meeting. Michelle Pila from Wholesome Riches. She's going to be talking about the Faith Walk and growing her nonprofit. They've been going strong with their specific program a little over a year now. Oh my gosh, I don't even want to put the numbers out there of how many individuals they fed with their food program per week, because I don't know the exact ones, but they are impacting every week over 100 families with food during this time. And so she's going to be talking about that Faith Walk and that aspect and piece of it. She also was able to receive a few grants, so she's going to be talking about the abundance aspect as well.
Yes, she had a lot of good education last time. I enjoyed her. I might have to tune
in. Good. Awesome. Awesome. So I will see you guys next week talking abundance with Michelle Pila next Saturday live at 11. Thank you so much again. Thank you, Rosalyn.
You're welcome.
For watching. Yes, thank you. Have a great day. Thank you, honey. I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good weekend.